With the suspected United Healthcare CEO Slayer in custody, Fox host Laura Ingraham is continuing to clutch her pearls, along with her wealthy peers, at people who are not feeling quite as sympathetic about the death of a man who has personally profited off the suffering of millions, while at the same time praising another man who did manage to kill a homeless man on a subway.
The Instagram posts from nutbag people, which I was sent in the commercial break earlier, crazy. Like, he's cute, and people celebrating this. This is a sickness. Honestly, it's so disappointing, but I guess we shouldn't be surprised. Gentlemen, thank you so much. And up next, the other big news out of New York, Daniel Penny. A lot of people think he's a hero, and tonight he's not guilty. My take next.
Nutbag people. By the way, a lot of people think that Daniel Penny, hero. So hold on here. If you're celebrating the death of a CEO, you have a sickness, right? Or if at least if you don't have sympathy for a CEO, you have a sickness. But if you celebrate the death of a homeless man, and specifically the acquittal of the person who killed him, then you're all good. Oh, I get it. I get the rules now. Okay. So now, of course, he mentioned Daniel Penny. He was acquitted for the death of Jordan Neely, a homeless black man. Now, Penny is white. Neely is again, I mentioned, a black man who was put in a chokehold for about 6 minutes while other train passengers had captured the incident on film. Now, Penny's lawyers had argued successfully that he believed that Neely was volatile, right? He was a mentally ill man. He posed a threat to the public, and that's why he had to put him in a chokehold for much longer than needed to be. And so now, as far as being a threat, Neely was armed with a muffin in his pocket. So Jordan Neely was apparently a threat to the public, okay? But Thompson, the CEO, whose company denied a third of all claims, about 32% of all claims, was not a threat to the public. I see. How big is the body count between the two? I don't think it's talked about enough. Okay. Now, as far as I know, Jordan Neely, he had some problems. Had he ever killed anyone? Not that I know. However, Brian Thompson is indirectly responsible, I think, for the deaths of thousands of people. Okay. Under Thompson, remember, United Health Group started using AI, so-called faulty AI programs, which denied up to 90% of claims for people on Medicare Advantage plans. These are elderly people, these seniors, right? Now, in fact, it got so bad that the company was sued by the family of two now deceased customers who alleged the insurer had knowingly used this faulty algorithm to deny elderly patients coverage for the extended care deemed necessary by their doctors. Okay. Like I said, in addition to denying thousands upon thousands of claims, okay, 32%. But you can see clearly here that, only one person's death is considered a tragedy to these people, to people like Ingram. Okay, so that's Brian Thompson. Oh boy, well, what a terrible tragedy. And the people that are celebrating they're sick individuals. But hey, Jordan Neely, he deserved it. Really, one killer is lionized while the other is condemned. Do you want to know why that is? Because it's partly about who the victim was. Okay, Laura Ingraham looks at Brian Thompson and immediately connects with him. Why? Well, because he's white and wealthy. I mean, she looks at Neely, though, and sees, oh, what, he's black, he's poor, and he's got mental issues. Obviously, that man deserves no sympathy whatsoever. Oh, no. Now, look, it's not just race. It's not just class. There's an intersection between those things, right? But like, okay, consider had he been wealthy. All right, would there still be a lot of sympathy for him? Perhaps. But then again, if he were wealthy, then Neely probably would have been able to afford mental health care and to not have to be on the street, and maybe then he wouldn't be dead. You know, both race and class are obviously quite important factors here. And look, even if you are a wealthy black man, that still doesn't insulate you from biases in the system, okay? Doesn't mean that you won't necessarily be targeted. We've seen this in plenty of occasions where, you know, black men who are doing fairly well for themselves, right? Or fairly wealthy or you know, higher class or upper class, I should say. And what? They get the cops called on them for breaking into their own house. What? So we see that. But that said, having money does tend to help you avoid being murdered by the police. Okay? Much more than being, again, a poor black man. Because if you're a poor black man in America, ooh, you're screwed. All right. Now, the other thing here that I'm seeing is how these right-wing millionaires, that's what Laura Ingraham is, okay? She's a right-wing millionaire. Boy, does she hate the idea of vigilantism. Oh, man. Unless, once again, it is targeted at poor people. Then, not such a bad thing. If you remember, Daniel Penny didn't have to intervene. He intervened because he thought, oh, this guy might be a threat. Well, that's taking it upon himself as being a vigilante, right? So he took it upon himself to put Jordan Neely into that chokehold. You know, just to prevent him from doing any violence, because he's a dangerous black man. All right? But, you know, vigilantism, in that case, totally fine. Vigilantism, if you're, you know, Kyle Rittenhouse, and you're just trying to prevent, I don't know, robbery at a gas station or something, because you think these black people that are, you know, out there protesting police violence are, oh, dangerous, so I better go to this Black Lives Matter protest and actually run into a couple of white people who, you know, end up starting a fight. And then, of course, he ends up getting into that fight and then shooting three people, I should say, killing two people in self-defense. Well, I mean, you know, he played vigilante, but that's okay. That's okay. But if you're, you know, Luigi Mangione, and you play vigilante, and your target happens to be a rich white man, well, that's the problem. We can't accept that. Nope, not at all. Or you could just have a standard rule that, hey, we shouldn't accept vigilantism from anyone, right? And I'm not saying that I do, right? I'm just saying, with this case, it's not like there's not a reason, okay? And there's not like there's not an ill will towards corporate America, which again, according to police, Mangione had. That's why he played vigilante in the first place. In his manifesto, he wrote, quote, "I do apologize for any strife or trauma, but it had to be done. These parasites had it coming." Talking about healthcare CEOs. Talking about the extreme wealthy in this country, okay? Now, look, I could sit here and I could find hundreds of instances of people like Laura Ingraham, people on Fox News, or just random right-wingers that are, you know, we're celebrating the deaths of people like Jordan Neely or Trayvon Martin or George Floyd, you know, and the hundreds of other poor black men that are gunned down by police. Okay, they'll say the same thing too. They had it coming. Oh, did they? Oh, they had it coming. Michael Brown had it coming. Had it coming. But at the same time, you think, wait, if you threaten power, if you threaten the wealthy, then, well, oh no, they most certainly did not have it coming. Oh, so you kill people with paperwork, then, well, that's way different. Is it? The end result is still pretty the same. Okay. just because it's a systemic way of killing people, and you're enriching yourself through these people's deaths by not paying out the claims, the money they owe, or that you owe them because they had paid you, held up their end of the bargain by paying your exorbitant sums, and then actually go to use the insurance that they paid for, and you say no, even though it's medically necessary. How's the end result any different? You have killed them. You have taken their lives, their livelihoods away from them by denying them medical treatment. I don't know. They see it much, much differently. And again, it comes down to power. It comes down to class. Okay? If you threaten power, if you threaten wealthy people, then they're going to and you've seen it, they're out there condemning you. And it's because they are the mouthpieces of the wealthy. So just consider that. I'm not saying that what he did was right. I'm not saying what Penny did was right. I'm not saying what Mangione did was right. Okay? But understand that we have gotten in this country to a point where people can see this, what he did, as like understandable because of how much the system itself is crushing everyday people. So with that in mind, it's no surprise to see the people who represent the system itself pushing back like this. It is all about protecting one's class-based interests. Again, it's not left or right here. This guy had some right-wing views, okay? Listen to Tucker Carlson, okay? But also had some mixed views, right? Like, environmentalism. I believe in climate change and all that stuff. And I believe the CEOs are screwing us over. It's not right or left at this point. It's 99% versus the 1%. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you can become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.